V-Gates, guys and gals, how's it going? Quick little video here about, it may not be too quick with me, I tend to ramble, but wanted to give you a quick update on some things we're getting in here at the shop and here at the office for the old hobby stuff, and kind of starting another new project with my modeling. And we're also I'm going to be putting up some other videos later today with the initial setup and stuff of the Germans versus Soviets battle we got started here a couple days ago. So stay tuned, we're going to have that coming up for you. But wanted to go over quickly a couple things we got in here at the shop, and that is Kings of War. Finally got it into the shop. And as you may have seen in my earlier video, I had built a Warhammer, well, 3 Warhammer fantasy armies, bought the big book, bought the army books, and then Games Workshop pulls the plug on fantasy and then goes to Age of Sigmar. So these things happen in life, you just have to adjust and go on. So my philosophy now is I'm pretty much not going to purchase any more products from Games Workshop. The Kings of War line, the newer miniatures they're coming out with, the newer armies they're coming out with are comparable in quality to the Warhammer and the Games Workshop models, honestly. I may break down from time to time and buy a couple of things, maybe scenery type things, if I can't find something similar to put on my board. But very happy with this book. My first impressions when I picked it up out at the mailbox, I ordered some other packages that day, came from Amazon, and they were put up on the front porch, and then I was like, oh, it said my book was delivered, and it was small enough, and the packaging they had it in, it fit in the mailbox. I have a decent sized mailbox, of course, but it's out by the road since I live out in the country. But I was like, where's my book? And it was small enough that they put it in the mailbox. So that's the first impression, is the size of the book. It is an excellent size, I gotta say. This is a nice size. And so many of the rule books are so big, except, you know, Flames of War did a great job. They had the big book that you can look. It's kind of like a tabletop book where you can sit in your living room and look through it. And then I have the little mini books that I've shown you. I've had spiral bound, and the plastic front and back covers, I've had them laminated. And it's a great thing to just keep on the table for gaming. So I don't know, I think they do make this in a paperback, and I'm thinking about looking for that and grabbing this in paperback. I think this comes in paperback in their starter box, which has 2 armies, two starter armies, and a paperback version of this. And you know, I may and I think I did see that on Amazon the other day. I think I might grab their starter box for 2nd edition. Again, this is 2nd edition, the newest edition. That way I'll get the paperback version. I'll take it up to Kinko's or the local copy shop, and they'll spiral bound it and do the same thing, plastic, laminate the front and the back, and I'll have that as a table reference. But back to the overall review of the book, it's great. I had read some reviews on this before I purchased it, and how people said, oh, it didn't have enough fluff, and you know, 3/4 of the Warhammer book is fluff, and all the background to all the factions and this and that. Well, that makes the book this thick, you know, things like, you know, 20 pounds. My impression of the fluff is fine. I mean, they're only giving you the foundation of the background to the races and the world, which is Mantica, and it's up to us to come up with our own fluff. That's the beauty of gaming. When I even do a Flames of War game, we have this little backstory we do. You know, if we just make up. You say, well, this is a remnant of a Soviet brigade, and they're coming back to refortify, and they're coming from a previous battle, and you kind of just make up stories like that. That's part of the fun of this stuff, guys. And I don't understand the people that nitpick this stuff to death. It's like, well, you know, it's compared. Well, fantasy's been around since what, the late 70s, early 80s. They've had, what, 40 years to build the fluff, and they have all the Black Library books out there and the novels, this and that. So I wouldn't get hung up on that. It's got plenty of starter fluff, like I call foundation fluff. But the main thing is the rules are simple. They're very straightforward. And the other complaint that others have said is it doesn't have enough spells. You can make up your own spells. This just has like basic spells, like lightning bolt, basic, what Dungeons and Dragons guys would know as basic spells. You could, actually, I have the spell cards for Warhammer that I purchased. You could use those if you wanted to. I mean, you could just, there's no limits to what we can do with gaming. We can make stuff up. So this has just got a good framework for building off of, is the way I see it. Compared to the Warhammer rules, it's just amazing how much more simple. It's like I said in another video, this is refocusing what wargaming should be. It's army building, list building, and strategy. It should be coming more down to strategy, movement, and yes, there's the element of luck with the roll of the dice. That's why I love the casino effect. That's what I call it. That rolling the dice and throwing the dice, and you need a good roll this turn, and you may get it, you may not, and that was for me the climax of some of the gaming is rolling those dice, like playing a good game of backgammon. You need those double sixes, and you may get double ones. So that's part of the fun of it. So I highly recommend this if you are a Warhammer player, Warhammer Fantasy. Or you've got just some good historical armies. These lists, and that's what's the other beautiful thing about this book. The lists, everything's in here that you need. They're not going to nickel and dime you. They've come out with some supplements for some new factions that you can purchase, but they're really not out to nickel and dime you. And as they come out with version 3 of this in the coming years, I'm sure those will be incorporated in with this. So I'm finding it is not hard to convert your fantasy armies to Kings of War. It's not hard. You can find something that's similar. If you don't like exactly what they have in here, come up with your own stats that you think are fair if the other players you play with. Like I said, nothing's carved in stone. You can make up stuff, but this gives you the nice framework, the nice nuts and bolts of converting armies. And Ronnie, the owner of Mantic, he makes it clear that he encourages us to go out and cross-pollinate our armies with models from other vendors. Now, obviously, he wants you to buy his models, and I will buy some of his models to give him the business. He deserves it. But my dragons and things I've collected over the years with other armies, you can roll right into this and just pick something that's similar in your army list in the back. It doesn't have to be exact match. They did have, I thought that was interesting because I have this beautiful black dragon that I actually painted green, but he's a black dragon in fantasy. And they do have an elven dragon rider in here. They have a paladin that rides a dragon in here. So if you're familiar with the Black Dragon kit, it comes with a rider, and it comes with a sorceress, and you can put all that stuff together. They've got the dragon in here that you can use the stats, and they also have the you can use a sorceress stats in here. But the thing that really sticks out is it's not going to be dominated by magic users like fantasy can, and it's not this drawn out, ends up becoming just a big argument about rules. And you end up, half of the game is taken up digging out rules, haggling over the rules, not really clear if that's really the circumstance applies in the rules. This is a lot simpler, and I'm all for that. Flames of War, fairly basic. You can get bogged down in some minutia a little bit. You just have to be careful as you go through it, but I'm a big fan of the simple rules, guys. It's just, these rule whores, I call them, these people that just obsess over, oh, I knew all these special rules and all these abilities, and you know, you've seen the guys at tournaments where they're pulling all this stuff out of the air, and you're like, what is this? Stuff you've never heard of, and you've got to bring a referee over to make sure that the person you're playing against isn't just pulling something out that doesn't exist, you know. But they've over the years, and they've done this with 40K, and that's a big reason why I kind of got away from 40K, is it's gotten so cluttered with the nonsense and these special rules and all these factions and their special abilities, and it's just, you can't keep up with it. It's every other month there's something new coming out, and then you know, someone jumps on that faction, and then they bring that to the tournament, and next thing you know, you don't even know what you're even up against. You know, they got all these abilities that are that just ridiculous. So I hope a lot of you feel the same way. I think the game developers out there sticking with the nuts and bolts, like chess or backgammon. You got the nuts and bolts of a great strategy game, and it's up to the player at that point to use the strategy. To me, is a lot funner, and it's a lot more fair, and it's you're not having these rule whores hoarding over, you didn't do this and you have to use this, and before you do this you have to do this, and it's ABC with a game like this. It's just ABC. So highly recommend it. Very impressed. I love the book. It's got great artwork. It's just you know, as far as I'm concerned, a home run for Mantic. And you're finding that a lot of people are switching. And Age of Sigmar, you know, I'm not supporting Games Workshop anymore. You want to trash tens of thousands, maybe even millions of fans of fantasy that have been playing it, even though I thought the rules were pretty cluttered. A lot of the rules we weren't even playing because it was just so cluttered. You know, I'm finding that this is a much better replacement. So there's a tip for you. Next thing we got in at the shop this week, and do a little preamble. You may have remembered last winter I did a nice little project, being a Panzer Grenadier fan for the SS and the Germans. I really wanted to start doing dioramas. I haven't refinished my basement and made my true man cave out here in the workshop yet. When I do, I'm going to purchase some really nice display cases that are lit up to display models in. So I kind of, at this point, wanted to stick with, and probably in the future too, because I really like doing dioramas, little models, scenes that tell a story. I really like those when I've gone to you know, the cons and the tournaments. The folks out there that are doing the dioramas, really, I've really felt drawn to that. So I did last winter this kit. You may remember. Now it has a nice decorative base that this fits into. I have actually upstairs in our living room, which I have a little display case up there. Was a classic Panzer Grenadier unit, and here you have the standard Type 1 Tiger tank, and then you have the heavy German armored half-track. And this was a big game changer in warfare come World War II, where you actually had infantry being supported by heavy or even medium tanks, light tanks even. It was very fast moving, of course, with the Blitzkrieg. This is really kind of what introduced it. Not at the very start of the war. They didn't have the Tigers on the Western Front that much. They had the Panzer IVs, the Panzer IIIs. But the idea was they went in, cleared out, and right behind them were fast-moving infantry shock troops. I've always been drawn to that. I thought it was a great military concept, and they still use it to this day. Although with the terrorism and the new type of warfare we're fighting these days, really the traditional armies and navies are kind of going by the wayside. So anyways, this was an era that this was first introduced, so I thought it would be a great homage to the Panzer Grenadiers. And I got to thinking this past year, you know, another diorama kit I could do, and I thought I would do a tribute to the American version of that from World War II. And with the Fury movie coming out this past year, which I loved, and the Easy 8, the Sherman Easy 8. I just love that tank. I've got them, of course, in my Army, of course. So I went ahead and picked up the Tamiya Easy 8 and 1/35th, just like the Tiger, with the same kind of thing. It's going to have the same type of display, little display case, mini display case. So we're going to do the build of this. I'm not going to do an unboxing today, but we'll do an unboxing on this, and I'll do a step-by-step with the early parts of my videos along the build process of putting this together. But my initial reaction is this is a 2015 model, and you'll find if you do want to get these kits, these 1/35th scale Easy 8s, they're hard to find and they're not cheap. It's very popular with Fury, I'm sure. So Tamiya's actually come out with a brand new 2015 molding. This is the brand new one. Super great casts. Very impressed. Even the packaging, the little plastic packaging, is upgraded to a better quality, and this is going to be a nice build. I've got the armored half track has not come yet, but I do have the armored half track, so that'll be almost a perfect match. I'm even going to position the tanks and things so they're almost like identical, except they're just one's German, one's American. We'll put them on different shelves, and that'll be a great little display piece. But I've got the American troops did come in. They're Tamiya also. So those are going to be good. They come in, all the pieces, the bodies are broken into pieces, so that's going to be a whole build. So we'll show you some of the process of putting those together and painting them and this and that over the course of the winter. And I'm thinking that sometime this upcoming week my armored half track will come. We're right in the middle of remodeling our kitchen. It's getting completely redone, granite countertops, cabinets painted, floors are getting refinished. So I'm going to be kind of busy the next week. I am refinishing the floors myself. We just had our family rooms been refinished, new carpet, new couch, new sectional, blah blah blah, on and on. So we got a lot going on in the house. Even though I'm down, I've also got a piece of machine. I'm putting a new engine on. I've got that project going on the side out in my heated workshop. So I've got various things going on over the next few weeks while I segue back into my next growing season for my business. Real quick before I go, I'll let you down. Every video I've been doing a showcase of what craft brew I'm drinking currently today, and want to share the love with you beer lovers out there. Today we are drinking one of my favorites. Again, I love porters and stouts. So you UK guys out there, shout out to you guys. I love my British porters and stouts. I just love them. Just great sipping beers. They're not wimpy beers. You don't have to drink, 6 beers to feel anything. You drink a couple of these babies and you're gonna be feeling just fine. So today I'm proud to bring you Old Leg Humper. Now this is a beer that's brewed locally in Ohio, where I'm currently living. It's brewed in Akron, Ohio, up close by where my son goes to college, and it's a great beer. You look at the logo on the bottle. It's pretty amazing. It says, "So many legs, so little time," right? So very cute, very good beer. Kind of got the whole chocolatey, coffee, chocolatey flavors going on in this thing, and it's just a wonderful beer. It's good and heavy. Again, great sipping beer. Put it in a good sized goblet or beer stein and just sip on that sucker while you're doing your modeling. I highly recommend it. If you can't get it, I'm sure you can get online. I bet you could have it shipped to you. It's not cheap. A lot of the craft beers aren't. They're going to be about $10 US for a 6-pack, but I'd rather go for quality than quantity. Okay, so I'm not out to drink it a lot. I just want to drink. When I do drink, I want it to taste really good. So that's what we have in the shop today, folks. Old Leg Humper. And the brewery is Thirsty Dog. Thirsty Dog Brewery. They also have a great Christmas ale. I think is still out there floating around through the winter time. It's a award-winning Christmas ale if you like the Christmas ales. But they have a whole line of beers, craft beers. I highly recommend them. Very good. And if you're in the eastern United States, especially if you're in Ohio, you're going to be able to find this probably at your local Kroger's, Myers, what's the other one? Giant Eagle grocery stores, or your local craft brew retailer. So that's basically it, guys. I think that's about it for today. I just wanted to kind of give a quick shout out to everyone, throw up some things on things we're getting into the shop. I've been promising we're having some projects floating through this winter. That's kind of what we're looking at. Well, I'll do another update once I do my first play test of the Kings of War lists. I pretty well got the my 3 armies converted over, and we'll talk about that. I'll do a whole thing on that. We'll do a separate video on my conversion, especially Beastmen. Okay, you know, Empire is easy. That's just the the faction of men that are in Kings of War, and they can go with all kinds of stuff. So there's a whole lot of ideas out there. If you're into this and you're converting your fantasy over, there are forums out there where guys are giving suggestions on conversions and lists to use. But it's not hard. It's easy. You can, like I said, you can also just make stuff up once you get a feel for the stats for some of the units. You can just reapply stats and just rename it for something else and create your own spreadsheet for your own Kings of War army. So it's not hard. So shout out to you guys. Hope you have a great week, and look for that deployment phase and initial movement phase for my upcoming battle report with Germans versus Soviets. See you guys, and ciao.